The entire country is in action, snapping up tickets to the U.S. from around the world. On September 19, U.S. President Trump suddenly signed a new executive order announcing major reforms to the U.S. work visa system, known as the H-1B visa. According to Trump's new executive order, each H-1B visa holder will be required to pay a fee of $100, $0 per person per year, to ensure that the foreign workers brought in are truly highly skilled and irreplaceable. At the signing ceremony, Trump bluntly stated, "If a Qatar doesn't want to pay $100,000, then hiring an American is an option." He claimed that this policy actually gives companies an incentive to hire Americans. U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick further elaborated on the government's position. "Courts need to decide, is this person worth paying the government $100,000 per year? If not, send them home, and the company should hire an American." Trump then announced that the new policy would take effect at 12:01 a.m. on September 21. The only minor exception was that it only applied to new H-1B visa applications. H-1B visa holders already in the U.S. could pay the fee at their next renewal date, but would not be allowed back into the country once they left. The announcement of the policy sparked widespread confusion and panic within U.S. tech companies. Several major U.S. tech companies, including Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, and Google, urgently emailed internal employees advising H-1B visa holders to remain in the U.S. and suspend any plans to leave. If they were outside the U.S., they should return and enter the U.S. before September 21. Then, a global rush to buy flights back to the U.S. erupted, with large numbers of H-1B visa holders returning to China for family vacations, frantically snapping up tickets. But the country most affected wasn't China, but India. Of the current accumulated H-1B visas in the United States, 72.6% are held by Indians. Therefore, Trump's $100,000 annual per-person tax is actually primarily levied on Indians, and this exorbitant fee could almost completely invalidate all H-1B visas held by Indians. In the United States, several Indian passengers were asked to leave their flights immediately after receiving notifications before departure, causing flight delays and a surge in one-way airfares from New Delhi, India to the United States. The Indian government expressed serious concern. The Indian Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a statement stating that the fees would disrupt Indian families and have humanitarian consequences, and hoped that the United States would properly address these issues. Indian Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal publicly stated, "The United States is indeed somewhat afraid of our talent. We do not deny that." On the American side, the reaction to this policy was quite different. The entire United States was in an uproar. Regardless of anti-Trump sentiment, lefty, center, or right, anyone who identified as an American applauded and strongly supported Trump's policy. As American H-1B visa holders frantically bought tickets to return to the U.S. from around the world, Americans launched an online campaign, snapping up all available flights worldwide, attempting to block these H-1B visa holders from entering the U.S. and forcing them to pay $100, $0 or not come. The expansion of the ticket grab to include all flights bound for the U.S. was intended to prevent anyone from transferring to the U.S. and block all avenues, but these Americans refused to pay, as reserving a seat would be a significant expense. Seizing the 15-minute payment window after booking a ticket, American netizens urged everyone to book their tickets online. Everyone constantly refreshed their search, booking as soon as a ticket became available, but without paying, wasting the 15 minutes. This kept all seats on flights bound for the U.S. locked up, preventing H-1B visa holders who truly needed to return to the U.S. from buying a ticket, even if a person's ID card could only be locked for 15 minutes, preventing further ticket purchases. As long as enough people participated, there was no problem with blocking tickets for a day or two. Every ID card that rushed in to buy tickets was clean, making it impossible to distinguish between those deliberately blocking seats and those truly intending to return to the United States. The event was incredibly large, with many Americans sharing online ticket-grabbing tools to make the scramble even more efficient. Indians were furious, claiming that its large-scale ticket grabbing was targeting Indians. The situation became too drastic to be resolved. So, on September 20th, Trump's executive order, issued less than a day earlier, was rescinded, or rather, revised. Trump revised his own policy and announced the latest regulations. The previously announced annual fee of $100,000 per person was abolished, replaced by a one-time payment of $100,000 per visa application. Each H-1B visa renewal can last for up to 3 years, which means the annual fee has been reduced from $100,000 per person to $33,000 per person. The new regulations, effective September 21st, will not apply to existing visa holders or those who have already applied this year. They will only apply to those who have not yet applied, meaning they won't take effect until 2026 at the earliest. A backdoor provision has also been added, allowing the Secretary of Homeland Security to waive the fee for cases that are in the national interest and do not threaten U.S. security. After the new regulations were announced, the frantic rush to buy tickets back to the U.S. quickly vanished. American rednecks were furious and lashed out at Trump. The entire country was in high spirits, mobilizing a massive ticket-grabbing frenzy, vowing to keep all non-Americans out of the country. Just when everyone was excited, Trump's executive order undid all those efforts, bringing the nationwide celebration to an abrupt halt. Isn't this a waste of emotion? Cursing Trump is the least of your worries. The new rule, which barely lasted, is dead. But new rule. What impact will this have in the future? First, in this incident, the left, center, and right in the United States have merged, showing no objection to Trump's policies and displaying extreme hostility toward H-1B visa holders who claim to be high-end talent. Even white leftists, who sympathize with illegal immigrants, lack sympathy for these legal H-1B visa holders and even express hostility. Since taking office, Trump has indeed made efforts to expel illegal immigrants, but he has actually sent very few out of the border. Chartering a few hundred illegal immigrants to repatriate them is often touted as making headlines. But the actual influx of illegal immigrants into the United States is measured in the millions each year, with a cumulative total in the tens of millions. The number of illegal immigrants Trump has actually removed is a drop in the bucket. While he has aggressively targeted the tiny number of legal H-1B visa holders, some once believed that Trump was only against low-end illegal immigration, opposing the entry of manual laborers who only work as waiters and waiters, while welcoming high-tech talent and highly educated immigrants. But in reality, Trump and the American people are against high-tech talent and highly educated people. Trump doesn't want American companies to hire these people. He explicitly says that American companies should give these high-paying jobs to Americans, and if Americans don't have the skills, they should gradually train them. But these jobs are actually cow-horse jobs. They're called high-tech, but in reality, they're high-tech migrant workers, manual labor in a mentally demanding field. And they're all engineers doing low-level work. What has become of American education? The exams in public schools are so idiotic, they're completely inadequate for the complexities of engineering. As for elite private schools, they don't have this problem, but they produce too few talented people, and those who don't like the hard work of science and engineering are flocking to careers like finance, law, and medicine. You want American companies to train people from scratch. Hey. Trump's current H-1B visa fee is actually $33,000 per person per year, which is far too high. The wool comes from the sheep. Whether it's paid by the company or the individual, it ultimately comes from the worker. Even American tech giants will have to cut a significant number of jobs after paying this fee, while smaller tech companies will simply be unable to hire. It's hard to say whether these companies will hire Americans for these positions, or whether they'll prefer to take on the communication costs and move these high-value jobs overseas. If our own poor education system fails to cultivate science and engineering talent, will we be able to produce qualified science and engineering talent in our own country by preventing others from coming to the U.S.? Those H-1B visa holders aren't earning high salaries in the U.S. for nothing. If they don't generate value that exceeds their salaries, and significantly so, will American companies pay them high salaries? If these people are driven away, the technological competitiveness and profits of American companies will inevitably be significantly impacted. American tech industry experts point out that if a large number of outstanding foreign tech talent choose to pursue careers in other countries due to cost constraints, the U.S.'s technological innovation capabilities will be impacted, potentially putting it at a disadvantage in global tech competition. However, ordinary Americans oppose this policy. They argue that the use of H-1B visas by American tech companies to hire foreign talent severely hinders employment for domestic talent and creates greater competition for Americans in the job market. The two sides debate endlessly, but in terms of numbers, Americans who oppose H-1B visas are overwhelmingly in the majority. After all, job seekers are always in the majority. Some in the U.S. even claim that all H-1B visas should be abolished, and that all those who work there should be expelled. I've heard that America is a political system driven by votes. Whoever gets the most votes gets the vote. Since the vast majority of Americans strongly oppose H-1B visas, why not expel these bad actors who are severely impacting American employment? We have no objection, truly no objection, from every perspective. We fully support the American public's choice.